The following podcast is brought to you on behalf of the Saracens Supporters Association and is not an official product of Saracens Limited. Views expressed on the Fezcast are those of the individuals and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Saracens Limited, the Saracens Supporters Association, Saracens Mavericks, or any other entity. The Fezcast is designed to be inclusive for the whole Saracens family, however occasional adult content may evade the censoring robots, so discretion is advised. Content provided voluntarily by our guests and contributors are of their own opinion, which may change over time and should not be taken as fact, particularly as the podcast hosts are regularly talking drivel anyway. If you've got some drivel of your own you'd like to share, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Fezcast_SSA. You can search Facebook for the Fezcast, or you can email fezcast.ssa@outlook.com.
It's the Fezcast with Matt Bartlett and Jez Denson in association with the Saracens Supporters Association.
Well, welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of the Fezcast. It's magnificent, but it's not rugby, is the title of this week's show. More of which will become clearer as we go into part 1 of our discussion. So part 1 was recorded a week or so ago in the aftermath of the Quins game, when me and Matt decided to discuss that one. Part 3, we're going to discuss the London Irish game and internationals and idiots running on the fields. But that's the sandwich to the meat of this week's one, where we are talking to Saracens back row forward Andy Christie, which was a fantastic little chat, wasn't it, Matt?
Well, it's really good to hear from anyone from the club, really, but yeah, particularly someone whose stock is rising pretty quickly at Saracens. So yeah, it's a fantastic chat. I'm racking my brains to try and work out why we've titled the show what we have, because I can't even remember what we talked about last week. It's quite an interesting.
I paraphrased some French general talking about the charge of the Light Brigade. C'est magnifique, mais n'est pas le guerre. You know, it's magnificent, but it's not war. Just on the back of everybody at Quins moaning that Saracens didn't really play rugby.
We're giving away the entire first half of the show now. So
absolutely. Well, look, we might as well get on with it. So after a word from one of our sponsors, we'll hear from Matt and me talking about Quins.
Hi, I'm Alex Lewington and I'm a Looseheads ambassador.
I'm Sydney Gregson and I'm a Looseheads ambassador.
Our aim is to tackle the stigma of mental health in rugby and society in general.
The Looseheads mission is to place a mental health lead at every rugby club. Get in touch now to find out more.
You can find us at Looseheads on all social media channels or at looseheads.co.uk.
Take care and enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Enjoy the rest of the pod.
This is the Fezcast.
Well, welcome to part 1 of the Fezcast, this week's Fezcast. And I've given this part a name, Matt, and I'm going to do some French now. I am going to misquote Pierre Busquat, who described the charge of the Light Brigade in a famous quote. And I'm just going to mang it around and say, c'est magnifique, mais ce n'est pas la rugby. His comment was, it's magnificent, but it isn't war, about the Charge Light Brigade. And given the fun and games of a few Quinn supporters on social media today, we knew one epitaph was going to come our way. The cheats thing came out yet again, you know, bit of sour grapes there, a bit of saltiness from Quins. But I got involved in one guy who refused point blank to suggest that Saracens were anything other than turgid and boring, despite us pointing out that over the last 3 weeks, they've scored 20 tries in 3 games. They're averaging 7.2 points a game more than Quins this season. And, you know, the game against Quins, horses are courses. You're not going to go out there against a team that revels in broken field play and throw the ball about with gay abandon. You're going to keep it tight, particularly playing into the win first half. It was a bit of a rearguard action, perhaps Rorke's drift more than the charge of the Light Brigade, but they did enough to stay in the game. Quins didn't do enough with the ball when they had it first half. And, you know, Saracens took their chances. And let's be honest about it, Jackson Ray's try was the equal of anything Quinn scored in that game. Don't you think, Matt?
Monge 2, Rodney, Monge 2. Yeah, it's I mean, I've seen a few exchanges and things on social media, and it's something that always comes out when Saracens play Quins, because it is a rivalry, and it does happen. And I think something I mentioned on the last show. You've got people that you'll see them one week talking about how Saracens are full of international superstars that are all on £1 million a week, and we clearly must be over the salary cap, and then they're not good enough for international rugby. And then we had someone on the Quins board sort of doing exactly the same thing, saying about all of our superstar players that are on a massive wedge, and then saying, oh, we're going to win anyway, because you can clearly see in this game, this is at half time, that Saracens have got a lot of average players. Well, all right then. But I mean, it's it was you can look back at the Bristol game and the Leicester game, and that was pretty I wouldn't use the word turgid, but it was a backs to the wall job, and we didn't offer a huge amount going forward. But in this game, we certainly did. And I think, to be honest, what a lot of people are forgetting is that, unfortunately, Alex Lewington had a bit of a shocker and butchered 2 tries, so we could actually have had a bonus point out of that game if we were a little bit more clinical. So it's sour grapes, and I don't normally come on this show and start giving it to other fans, because we try and be a bit nice here, but shut up.
Well, there is, and I mean the thing is, I mean there was one turning point in the game, and it was Danny Kerr taking a drop goal that he scored, and at the time I just couldn't believe what he was doing. He was captain on the field. This is a guy who's played 300 plus games in the Premiership. He was the most experienced player on that field, I think. It's either between him and Alex Good, two most experienced players on the field. You've just kicked 2 penalties to the corner. Saracens are infringing. Just do the same. And that's the difference, is that, okay, sometimes it might not be wonderful, beautiful, throwing the ball around rugby, but bear in mind, it wasn't a particularly nice day either. But, there has to be a pragmatism. You have to earn the right to be able to score points and earn the right to go banzai. Now, you might get away with it against Gloucester or Worcester, no disrespect to those teams, but they haven't got the same intensity Saracens have. But when you play Saracens, you've got to change your game a little bit. Likewise, Saracens went to the Premier League, Premier Champions, gave them full respect for what they are capable of doing, and created a game plan around it. And I mean, I will admit that, there were moments when I thought they were never going to come back. But I mean, we've done this so many times where we've written Saracens off in a game only to be proven wrong. There were also moments, and this is the other thing that got me, that some people were saying, oh, we must have played Craig Maxwell-Keys off. How daft are they? I mean, there were moments when, I was politely questioning the television about some of the decisions that Craig made. I mean, the one where Billy got penalised for a perfectly good turnover and then got a smack in the chops from somebody when he lifted Danny Kerr up like the petulant toddler he can sometimes be. But he was perfectly fair. He was consistent in what he did. I mean, we just didn't get hold of him for the first 10 minutes, quarter of an hour of the second half, and played to his game. But then they sorted it out and played to the way that Maxwell-Keys, the merry whistleblower, wanted to play the game. And Quins didn't. And you've got to look at yourself. But, yeah, I think to move on from that, to get those sort of negatives out of the way, the important thing is to say that is a far greater barometer of where Saracens are as a team, as a club, coming back into the Premier, though, isn't it? Yeah. We looked at the Bristol game, a bit of a fluke result. Were Bristol bad? Were Saracens, got through it? Leicester, who are playing brilliant rugby at the moment and fully deserving to be top of the pile. Great on them. Bath and Wasps, we did what we did in those games and what was in front of us. But beating Quins in their backyard with a pragmatic performance, albeit one with a bit of flair, that really is going to put some frighteners up amongst quite a few people in that league.
Yeah. I mean, you can look at the game at the weekend and say I think both teams left some points out there.
Yeah.
It really could have gone either way. Obviously, you mentioned Danny Kerr taking that drop goal. I agree with you there. I think that was insane decision making when every other team would have just carried on, milked some more penalties, and we were going to get a yellow card. There was no doubt about that. We were under a lot of pressure. Someone was going to get sent to the sin bin, and Quins probably would have taken full advantage of that. So that's on their side. Like I said, unfortunately, we did butcher a couple of tries, but from Alex Lazowski's boot, we were pretty clinical. I think he had 100% from the tee. And he looks a very changed player since coming back from France. And with Owen Farrell on England duty, Lazowski's been absolutely perfect. And I think Tom Wollstonecroft actually, for me, had one of his best games in the Saracen shirt as well. A little bit understated, but he was good. But that is a good barometer of where we are. And you look at the start of the season, you just said probably 3 of the 4 toughest fixtures. I would say Exeter being one that we haven't done yet away, going to Bristol, Leicester, and Harlequins away. We very nearly won all 3 of those, but for the blow of a referee's whistle at Leicester. So we're doing pretty well.
We are indeed, yeah. I totally agree with you there. I do want to mention a couple of players, though, in particular, and not the normal superstars. I want to pick up on what you said about Wolfie. That Scott Sperling tweeted that Tom was on fire, and very much so. And bearing in mind that him and Mako played virtually the whole game as well. Yep. I mean, I think they did. Well, Tom did. I think both of them did. Go off injured, so Ethan come on and played at blindside. But yeah, Mako, despite looking his normal knackered self the entire game, put in another major shift. But from Harlequins, the fullback Tyrone Green, is it? He was phenomenal. He is a talent and a half, that kid. I mean, Louis Liner's got into the England squad again and is a big talent as well, obviously. But Tyrone Green caused us an awful lot of problems. And Jackson Ray's tackle on him, I think it was his when he was going through, that was a huge moment in the game. But from the Saracen side, I really like the look of our new second row who came in, Theo McFarlane. He looks like a slightly slimmer Will Skelton, doesn't he? Very similar, very athletic, very powerful, got great ball handling skills. He looks promising.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm going to go back to what you're saying. I've been a bit mean to Quins fans. So what I am going to say about them, you're right about Tyrone Green. He is a fantastic player, and the centre Andre Esterhazen as well, an absolute beast in the middle of the park. I'm very, very surprised that they took him off. I guess he was probably blowing hard a bit by that point. But Quins have got some good young players. They've recruited really well. They're going to be at the top of the tree in the Premiership for a good few years, I would imagine. So that bodes, if we can get up there as well, that bodes pretty well, doesn't it? Having that rivalry up the top, it's going to be something that's a bit marketable at least. But on the Sarri side, Theo McFarlane coming on. I think commentary team mentioned that he's also a decent basketball player.
Yeah,
which you can kind of see that. But yeah, it's a good vote of confidence for him. That was his Premiership debut. He's played a few Storm games, but to come on at the time that he did in a very, very close game, when it's the sort of game where you don't see the bench unloaded that much. And I think, we had 2 players didn't come on at all. And then Ethan Lewis only came on because Billy Vunipola was injured. So we did leave three players on the bench, or we're planning on leaving 3 players on the bench, but there was confidence in McFarlane to bring him on for that 10 or 15 minutes. And
yeah, absolutely.
He was very, very good, effecting a couple of turnovers, a lot of good tackles. So yeah, we'll probably see him. I'd imagine he'll be in the 23 for the London Irish game next week, and I'd imagine he'll be front and centre for the Cup games coming up as well.
Absolutely. Looking at him and with his ball handling skills as well, I can see him perhaps also covering back row as well. He's got a bit of versatility about him as well, which is good to see.
I sort of saw a bit of Nick Ezekwe in him a little bit, but very interesting to see how he's going to develop. And we've obviously picked him up from Samoa. He was due to play in America last season, but he's not someone that's got a massive highlights reel anyway. So he's been thoroughly scouted by Nick Kennedy and co. And it sounds like they're really interested to see how he's going to go. So could be another gem.
Absolutely. Well, look, great performance for the gents on Sunday. We do need to mention the women's game, though, which a beating from Worcester, 17-0. But a Saracens women's team shorn of quite a few players who were off performing exceptionally well for the Red Roses against New Zealand. So, a bit of club not so good, but England absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were something like 7 or 8 debutants in that Saracens team, and we're obviously seeing the cup fixtures as an opportunity for the wider squad. And there were some younger players who, by all accounts, did show up very well. So we'll probably see them again next week. But yeah, like you say, I think 4 or 5 players off playing for England. And for once, it wasn't Poppy Cleal stealing the headlines. Zoe Harrison had a fantastic game.
Yeah.
For England, and Holly Aitchison scoring a try on her debut as well. So yeah, really good result for them. And rounding off the weekend, actually, I should mention I did watch the last couple of games of the netball Fast Fives tournament, and oh my God, it's chaos. what a tournament that is. It's like rugby sevens on speed. Absolutely fantastic. But it was, I definitely, if there's highlights out there, or if you can go to the Mavericks social media and have a look at some of the stuff that they've put out, it was very, very good. I mean, the whole team coming out of the start of the games, dancing their way onto the court, and everyone playing with a smile on their face. It was, but they won over a lot of neutral fans, I think. So it's a good feel good weekend for that.
Well, absolutely. I'll add in there England giving Australia a thumping in the T20 World Cup, and West Ham winning again. I mean, I keep on saying that Jackson Ray, it's not a Carlsberg weekend, it's a Wolfpack weekend, so we'll throw some free advertising in there for Wolfpack. But yeah, it's like things can't get much better for me. I mean, 50 years of watching sport, this is probably the best it's ever been. I just want Essex now to come back and win the county championship next year, and I don't know what I'll do.
You can't have it all.
No, can't have it all. Well, look, thank you for that, Matt. We best move on with a message from one of our sponsors.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Hi, this is Jez from the Fezcast to tell you about another one of my passions. I love music, and I have my own radio podcast station, Tarka Blowpig Radio. This is the home of great music presented by myself and my friends, be it folk, rock, indie anthems, progressive music, you name it, we've got it covered. So if you want to listen to some great music, tune in to us at mixcloud.com/Tarka Blowpig. So welcome to the second part of this week's Fezcast, and fantastic. We've got a brilliant guest to come on and talk to us. Someone who made his debut for the senior team in November 2018 against Sale Sharks in the Premiership Cup, but has established himself as a first team regular over the last couple of years. Certainly a mainstay of the Championship side last year, but has moved in and performed admirably well this season. Welcome to the Fezcast, Andy Christie. How you doing, Andy?
Thank you. Yeah, very good, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Well, excellent. Well, no, as I say, thank you for joining us. I'll be honest with you, let's get straight down to it. I'm going to say that we were expecting to talk to you and be sat here, and, I didn't go to the game on Saturday, but at one point, watching on Twitter whilst watching the England game and catching up, 34 points away, I thought we were going to have a discussion straight in and say, well, what an amazing start of the season that is, and then obviously the wheels came off a little bit on Saturday. Is that fair to say, Andy?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably quite a nice way to put it. I don't think anyone's pleased with that result at all. I think it's a lot of learning to take from that game. It was after the game, certainly in the change room, was a very, very tough pill to swallow.
Well, I can imagine so. And I mean, we discussed before we started and you were very honest in your. We saw it on Twitter, the after-match interview you did, and very honest. And I think that's possibly the one thing, isn't it? The honesty that will be the squad, the team, the club will go into after that one. And I suppose just one of those things. Mark it down to experience and learn from it. Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah. You don't learn if you're not honest, and we've got to be brutally honest if we want to be able to use that game and use the experiences taught us, for good in the future. And I think that's what we all want to do. We all want to keep going better. We all want to get better results, and we don't want to find ourselves in that kind of position again. We want to pride ourselves on being a ruthless team and a team that can put others to the sword. And I think we've shown that so far this season at times. But also, you look at the Leicester game where we sort of let them get a foothold in that. And especially this weekend now, we let them build momentum. We let them get back into the game from a position where we really shouldn't have, and credit to them for having the heart to do that. But, we've got to look at ourselves, and we know that it wasn't good enough from us.
On a personal front, though, Andy, fantastic bit of juggling there, and the pass into Ben for his try. Some great skills there.
I should have caught it cleanly, to be honest. Got a bit lucky.
That was right. I have to say that I was standing right in front of, right in the stand there, directly behind the post. So it was a heart in mouth moment. That, but yeah, well taken, just about.
Thank you.
Well, believe you me, as an old back row forward myself, Andy, I've dropped more than a fair few of those in my time. So
it's about the ones you catch, not the ones you drop.
Yeah. Well, let's draw a line under that RS second half. As I say, it happened. And can we have a chat about the season as a whole? Because actually, at the end of the day, after last season, coming back up from the Championship, we as supporters weren't entirely certain how the club would go. What would be the right level for us? Would we be back immediately challenging for the top places, or was it going to be a season of consolidation, as it were? But I suppose everybody's really has got to be pretty pleased with how well it's gone, and with two amazingly big wins as well in the middle of that.
Yeah, I think when you look at it as a whole, the sort of journey, as it were, that we've started embarking on, this first block of games, I think our results have been good, and I think there's definitely a lot more to come. I think we've shown again in sort of spurts that how good we can be, and so just getting into that, getting that consistently is the challenge going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, for you personally, though, what's been the highlight for you of this season so far? I mean, what stood out for you as like that moment where you think, yeah, personally and as a club and as a squad and as a team, we're really getting there.
I mean, the personally, I started against Wasps. That was my first start of the season, and I really enjoyed that game. Loved that game. Played 80 minutes, and felt sort of comfortable within the team. So I was happy to get a lot of minutes under my belt there, and obviously that ended in a good win. But I think from the start of the season, the game against Bristol was big for us. It was a big win. It was a tough win, to go to their place first game after they'd topped the league last year. We didn't really know what to expect from them, and I don't think anyone really knew what to expect from us. So that was very challenging, and I think that was really that we've been properly tested and come out on top. I think they, like I said, on their patch, they played pretty well against us, but we controlled that game brilliantly, I thought.
I must admit, I don't know whether Matt wants to pick up on that. I think that's the one thing, other than 40 minutes on Saturday, the control that's been shown in games has been remarkable. And building up to that Bath game where I think you saw, I think I said it when we did the Fezcast last time, that you got very rarely do you see teams put both aspects of the game together so perfectly well. You'll have games where your attack is absolutely fantastic, but you'll ship 4 or 5 tries yourself going back the other way. And then you'll have other games like the Bristol game where defence was amazing, but going forward, it was very much a bit scrappy, and you just took your one chance when you had it. Quins would be another example, I suppose, as well in that situation. So to actually put both aspects of the game together, it was just amazing to see. And it must be really great to be able to walk off the field in that situation, knowing that you probably couldn't have done much better.
Yeah, I think that Bath game certainly, and parts of that Wasp game. I think what stood out to me, I think everyone talks about the tries, but when we were tested in defence, for the most part, we were very strong. And I think by the time I got on the pitch, I felt like I had a freedom to go and express myself within the system. And I think that's what kind of shone through, was everyone was able to express themselves. On the ball, they could come onto the ball properly, could try and be an option, try and impose themselves on the game. So I think that when you're playing in a system that allows you to do that, you can be free and you can enjoy yourself. I feel like that's shown in the way we play.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was wonderful to see, and it's great to be supporters and be able to enjoy that as well. And as I'm sure I know, I haven't managed to get to too many of the games recently, but the Wasps at home where the crowd almost were that 16th player the whole way through, and and being able to support that's absolutely amazing. Now, I was going to ask you, talking about development as a player, and I mean, we're now going into the Premiership Cup fixtures, and we'll talk about them a little bit more. But obviously, there's you've put yourself out there as a young player coming through. There's lots of other great back row players at the club. You see Billy Villapola, unfortunately, picks up a bit of an injury that's given you an opportunity now. Do you see this now as you putting yourself out there in that shop window and saying when Billy comes back, he's going to have to work double hard to get his place back?
I'm not sure I'm in sort of direct competition with Billy. I think what Billy brings to the team is unbelievable. His skill, the amount of people he draws in, and also what I think isn't actually spoken about that often with Billy is how great of a leader he is. Billy's a phenomenal leader. He speaks brilliantly, and he wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think a lot of people connect with that. He's a huge loss when we don't have him, but he's brilliant to have around, and I love playing with him, and I love being.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, that's the other question I suppose to ask is that, I mean, around the club, they're not only on the playing side, but you'll have been lucky enough to share the field with some pretty damn good back row players. Schalkberger, I suppose, was coming towards the end of his career as you were breaking through, but Billy, and then obviously you've got Kelly come back to the club as a coach who was a great back row player. It must be so amazing to learn from these people. I know when you went out, you had spent some time in New Zealand as well, and you learned from some great there as well.
I learned from Rodney Scialo. Rodney Scialo over there. He was ex-All Blacks number 8, so he was very interesting character. He was a great coach as well. But no, I've been very, very fortunate. Even still, with he was brilliant for me when he was here. Especially throughout things like A-League and Prem Cup, because he did spend a bit of time with us there. Ben Earl's a fantastic player. Jackson Ray, I've always looked up to from when I was junior academy, because I feel like I'm somewhat similar mold to him. So there's Rhodesy again. Rhodesy was outstanding. The things he brought, the physicality he brought, which is something again. That's a work on for me, is to try and get to somewhere like where he was. So, I mean, all the players I've been able to learn from, they all have different sort of super strengths and what they're great at. So it's about, I guess, for me, trying to take what I can from each of them and understanding where I can kind of, bring them into my own game.
Just as long as, if you are going to emulate Mike Rhodes, just your last game for Saracens, try not to get sent off.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean,
it's a good way to leave the pitch.
Well, he got the applause, didn't he? He was able to leave the field to an ovation. Not too many red cards I've seen got an ovation like that. To be perfectly honest,
I think it's quite fitting for him to end his career taking someone's head off as well.
Well, absolutely. I mean, and as I say, as a back row forward of many years ago now for me, Andy, I'm old style Wayne Shelford, Dean Richards, Richard Hill kind of era sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I could definitely see in you that development and looking like really coming on, and it's really good to see that you had your championship season last year, you were a mainstay of it, but you have stepped back in this year, and you look to the manor born. You made those progressions, and also as a person. I mean, how do you feel you've progressed as a person, being part of the Saracens team and organisation?
Oh, massively. I think that there I have to take my hat off to Callum Clark. I've worked very closely with him just from like a mentality aspect of it, because there are a lot of challenges in being a professional rugby player and trying to get yourself mentally right to play these games, to play alongside the likes of the people that you're playing alongside and feel comfortable. That takes some getting used to. So I feel like over the last year, especially in the championship, I think the championship season was amazing for the likes of myself, Sean Raffel, Elliot Batimbo and others, that being able to play regularly and get used to playing with these guys and getting to know them on a better level. When you have away trips to Doncaster and that kind of thing, you can't help but get to know people better. So I think that again helps you when you step onto the pitch, when you can talk to people on a better level and you can understand them better and what makes them tick, and they can understand what makes you tick as well. It's huge.
So personally speaking, then, I mean, you've got to this stage of your career. What's next for you as a player? What do you want to see yourself doing in the next, say, 12 to 18 months as a player at Saracens, getting your profile noticed, whatever? I mean, what do you want to achieve in the short term now?
All I can hope for is to keep playing and keep improving. I think that's my main goal. I want to be a great player at this club, and so I want to keep trying to take my opportunities and trying to take on board the feedback I'm getting. Trying to grow, I suppose, into that 6 or whatever shirt I'm wearing.
I suppose that now brings us on to the Prem Cup fixtures that are coming up. We've got the Premier Rugby is taking its break. Premier Cup is taking over. Traditionally, it's been a competition in which teams play less experienced players. The superstars, as it were, as much as Saracens don't really have superstars, are either away on international duty or they're going to be given a rest. Or is this a moment now where you step into a leadership role as someone who's got that bit more experience and around the club? Is that something that you're able to do?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and it's challenge I'm excited for, and I think a great opportunity for me to grow a different aspect of my game that I don't necessarily have those regular Premiership fixtures. So I'm really excited for that challenge. I'm excited to play with a different group and some guys who are chomping at the bit to get some game time as well.
That's fabulous to hear. And so the games we've got coming up is Quins and London Irish, isn't it, Matt? You're always...
Yes,
you're always, he's
Andy will know better than me, surely.
It is. Quins this weekend and then Irish next Friday.
So Irish, we've got an opportunity. You've got an opportunity, obviously, to right some wrongs there, which has got to be good. Quins, I'm sure, will be chomping at the bit to get one back after the Stoop result. But
it's funny how these fixtures have worked out, isn't it? So we get them all over again. So that'll be good fun.
Well, excellent. Well, look, Andy,
anyone thinks that the Prem Cup fixtures don't have the same feistiness that a regular Premiership game does. I do remember the last time we played Quins in the Prem Cup at home. I think Joel Kapoku got in a bit of a scrap at one point. So
sounds about right.
I think that we played just as normal.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right for sure.
Well, look, Andy, thank you ever so much for joining us on the Fezcast. It's been wonderful getting the opportunity to talk to you, to find out what the feelings are like in the club. And I thank you for your honesty, in particular over Saturday's game and everything, which we're not going to dwell on. But thank you for your insights into everything going forward.
No,
We'd love to talk to you again sometime in the future. We'll keep on at the club and see if we can get you back on in the future as well.
More than happy to.
Lovely. We've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you and getting this on for the Fezcast. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much.
Cheers, fellas. I appreciate it. Pleasure, Mark.
Hi, I'm Alex Lewington, and I'm a Looseheads ambassador.
I'm Sydney Gregson, and I'm a Looseheads ambassador.
Our aim is to tackle the stigma of mental health in rugby and society in general.
The Looseheads mission is to place a mental health lead at every rugby club. Get in touch now to find out more.
You can find us at Looseheads on all social media channels or at looseheads.co.uk.
Take care and enjoy the rest of the podcast.
Enjoy the rest of the pod.
And welcome back to part 3 of the Fezcast. And what a brilliant chat that was with Andy. Very honest, very insightful into what's going on at Saracens, and good to hear from a young guy. Not only is a great player, obviously in the making, but also obviously one that is going to be a spokesman for the club in the future, by the looks and sounds of things.
Oh, I would imagine so. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely Andy's definitely someone that's been identified as having a pretty philosophical head on his shoulders. We don't tend to bring politics into this podcast too much, do we, Jez? But
no, try not to.
He wrote some. I believe he wrote some very thought-provoking poetry actually during the peak of the Black Lives Matter movement, which we could have discussed, but thought it was best to focus on the rugby at this point, I'm sure. But and him talking about briefly mentioning Callum Clark's new role at the club as well, that well-being coach and mentor, I think is something that would be good to talk about a bit more in future as well. But like we said, there was plenty of rugby to talk about this time. So.
Well, indeed, and as I said, I mentioned honesty, and honesty is one of those core values that Saracens have put up over the years. And the London Irish performance, by everybody's admission, wasn't good enough. To be 34-8 up with Irish's playmaker injured and down to 14 men, judging by the rest of the games that Saracens have played this season, you would have thought they would have just exploited that. But obviously the bench was emptied, and perhaps was there a level of complacency? I'm not sure whether there was. He certainly didn't get that impression from Andy. I think it was just one of those games that as soon as it started going wrong, there was no way of stopping it. It was a bit of a juggernaut, wasn't it? And as you said, Matt, credit to London Irish for not giving up and keeping going.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the game, and at the end of the game, I was absolutely fuming. I will openly admit that. It wasn't a good day. I think I've been less disappointed when we've lost games badly than that sort of comeback. It wasn't good. There a couple of individual players, unfortunately, did have stinkers, really. I'm not going to sit here and dissect all of that because that's just not what we're about, but I'm sure they will look at it and I'm sure they'll come back stronger. But it was just one of those things. And I think I said once we stopped recording, particularly London Irish's winger, Carl Rowe, who's coming to the team, he looks outstanding. I mean, we couldn't get near him for 15 minutes and it absolutely ruined us. But it's a poor performance for. We said the second half. It was actually it was 20 minutes max. We were coasting for the first 20. Some people have mentioned and will mention the fact that we unloaded the bench. But if you're not going to bring those reserve players on when you're 34-8 up against 14 men, when are you going to bring them on?
True.
And 99 times out of 100, that is what happens, and that's fine. We wouldn't be complaining about it. And to be honest, the one thing I will say is the reason we selected the team that we did with Alex Good at fly half and Alex Lazowski in the centres is, as far as I'm aware, I believe Don Morris picked up a little knock at the back end of the Quins game, which meant he didn't train quite so much this week.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure he looked fit when he came on.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the one thing I will say. Which I don't know. I could be getting that completely wrong, but he did fall off a lot of tackles. He didn't look as committed, and to be honest, Don Morris is someone who puts absolutely 100% into every single tackle normally, and he didn't look himself. So whether that possibly was a mistake, I don't know. But we just got to learn from it. And exactly as Andy said, it's you learn, and you've said yourself time and again on this show, you learn more from the bad games than you do from the good ones. So I think that stands us in good stead for the rest of the season. And I'm waffling on, but what I will say is, if you offered the start of the season that we've had, we've lost one, drawn one, won the rest. We've gone down to Ashton Gate and we've won. We won at Quins. We nearly won at Leicester as well. I think you take that all day long.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right there. Interesting, I did read, I think it was Dave Loxham's little piece in Saracens Supporters Association, and he was very much of the thought that it wasn't just the players on the field, that there was not full crowds, and there seemed to be a level of, I'm not going to say complacency amongst the crowd, but a level of expectation that it was just going to be a win, and it was a bit quiet. It was almost like waiting for it. Whereas, the previous games where you've seen the crowd up and everything, and I don't know, is that a fair comment, Matt? I mean, as I say, I wasn't at the game, but
to a point, yeah. I mean, it's during the international break, and we do have a slightly smaller crowd during internationals, or a different crowd during internationals. That happens at every club, and I think. Possibly, yeah. I guess, yeah. London Irish getting an early red card, possibly among a lot of fans, it almost
expecting another 70-point drubbing.
Yeah, I mean, generally a red card actually it almost ruins the game as a spectacle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And as much as we like seeing Saracens win, you want to be entertained. And I think a lot of people sort of went, oh, well, this is a foregone conclusion. Maybe not necessarily out of arrogance, but more out of, well, this isn't going to be as entertaining as it could be. It turns out, for a neutral fan, it really was. But it was a quieter crowd than, for example, the Wasps game, which I wasn't at, but my dad was, and he said the same. So, There's a lot of reasons why that could have been the case. Dose of reality maybe for some of us, but you learn from it. We move on.
Absolutely, and it's always worthwhile getting a dose of reality. And 2 Prem Cup games coming up. Chance for a lot of those boys to actually right some wrongs, as Andy said himself. Quins and London Irish, it's a pretty quick turnaround for the last 2 Premier League games, Premier games that have been played. So let's see what they go, and good luck to them. I'm looking forward to those. Now, we do need to mention autumn internationals, and hashtag Jez rants about Eddie again. I watched the England's Tonga game, and to be honest with you, 65 minutes to go, knowing full well that Banbury United were on the telly as well in the FA Cup, I took the dog for a walk, because 11 tries. It was great to see Jamie and Maro getting tries for England, but it just wasn't inspiring. It really wasn't. You've got too many players playing out of position. Tom Curry is not a number 8. I don't care what Eddie says. Tom Curry is one of the most destructive open sides around. And we discussed it last time when you're turning around and saying, yeah, we can understand why Billy Vunipola dropped if you're taking Sam Simmons and Alex Dombrandt, the 2 form number 8s in the country. But then you don't play one of the 2 form number 8s in the country, and you play an open side at number 8. Johnny Hill is not an international second row. Courtney Law's brilliant, well done. That tackle you made was the highlight of the game. It was absolutely top dollar. But I'd like to see Courtney packing down with Murrow, because that would be an engine room and a half. And then, play Tom Curry and Sam Underhill as 2 6.5s, because they're talented enough to do it, with a genuine number 8 at the back of the scrum. George Furbank did nothing wrong, but he didn't do anything particularly spectacularly well. What I was pleased to see was the back three did look, and Freddie Stewart in particular looked imperious. And it's good to see Manu Tuilagi back at top form, but it just didn't inspire. And, beating Tonga 60 odd points to 5, or whatever it was, so 60 odd points to 3. I would worry about us playing one of the top tier nations with that sort of performance. Now, perhaps I've got it all wrong and Eddie is just using this as a building block. And bearing in mind, Scotland pulled out a great result to beat Australia. And, South Africa struggled a bit against Wales. Maybe Eddie's got it right, but it just didn't inspire me on Saturday. I'm sorry. And, you're paying good money to watch that on Amazon Prime, I don't know. What's your thoughts, Matt? Am I being too harsh on Eddie?
Tricky for me to say, because I have only seen brief highlights, having been at the Saracens game instead. But for the first time ever in my life, I actually managed to get into Eddie's head in advance, which is a place I don't really want to be. No. I said to a mate of mine when the squad was picked, we were talking about the number 8 situation. And I did say to him, imagine having Alex Dombrandt, Billy Vunipola and Sam Simmons to choose from. And I said, I bet you Eddie won't pick any of them at number 8. And I did actually mention Tom Curry in the picture before that was even suggested. And that is bizarre. I mean, I can turn around and say I'm more than happy. Dombrandt, Simmons, Billy Vunipola, pick 2 out of 3. Doesn't matter which 2 at the moment. I know the jury's out for us a little bit on Sam Simmons, but I actually want to see him play.
I'd pick Sam Simmons because he's a number 8.
Yeah.
Although I would love to see Sam Simmons have a go at number 7, because I think he would be seriously destructive there. But he's played number 8 for his club. Alex Dombrandt plays number 8 for his club. Nathan Hughes plays number 8 for his club. Billy Vunipola plays number 8 for his club. And you pick a lad who plays open side for his club.
I think Eddie's man management is he's got a lot of flaws for me, and I think that's his biggest one. The situation in the backs obviously very much enforced. Smith hadn't been fit during the week, so was only ever going to be on the bench, although he still looked.
But then again, you got George Ford pulling up trees at Leicester at the moment.
Yeah,
he's the informed 10 in the country.
Exactly. And then obviously, Owen Farrell had to drop out, so things had to shuffle there. What we've learnt about it, I don't really know, to be honest. But yeah, it just sometimes the autumn internationals don't inspire me, and I think this is definitely one of them. But obviously, there's bigger games coming up, and that is a little bit disrespectful to Tonga. But we don't get a huge amount out of that because it wasn't enough of a changed side to sort of learn about some new players, other than maybe someone like Adam Radwan.
Yeah,
who we know is good. But too many people still. There's no need to. All right, maybe it's disrespectful to rotate the team entirely, but your likes of Maro Itoje and Farrell that would have been playing and things, they are the games to try someone different. And like you say, picking Itoje and Johnny Hill, who I don't fancy as a second row, and Charlie Ewells, who should obviously, because of what Bath are doing at the minute, be nowhere near the squad on the bench as you look. What have we learned in the second row with that? Nothing. So, yeah. Hey-ho. On to the next one.
Absolutely.
We'll get to the women, though.
Well, before we do that, we do need to just speak about the other internationals and say Wales made a mistake of trying to arm wrestle the South Africans, came close, but you're not going to arm wrestle the South Africans. They'll find a way to get that. You have to attack them. Scotland and Ireland, much the same as us against England against Tonga. It was a bit of a men against boys situation there, which is a shame for Japan, because you feel that Japan had taken a bit of a backward step there. But Scotland beating Australia, Well, huge result, and I think Scotland really are building. And I did have a fear for them last year that when they should have won the Grand Slam and didn't. But this year coming, I see them as them and France as the form horses, and I'll make those two favourites for that. What I will say though is idiots running onto the field, and I'm going to have a rant here. Someone actually put on Twitter they should pick him for the next Wales match at open side. Whoever Wales have got next, have they got Australia next?
I think they might do, yeah. I'll tell you what, if they've got Will Skelton in their side, go on, free run.
Yeah, that's it. Go and play. If you want to be on that field, play. Put on a Welsh shirt. Have 2 minutes at the start, because that's all it will take, 2 minutes. Give Wales an extra substitution and just let him be completely... It's like that Jarvo geezer as well, who keeps on turning up, and he was in the Japanese kit. And I mean, sorry, he should not be allowed to go anywhere near any stadium any day. He should, on the day of matches anywhere in the world, he's go to his local police station, sign in and say, I'm here. Because quite frankly, they're jokes. The pair of them are absolute jokes. And I mean, it's something that's gone on, but infuriates me. Absolutely. So there you go. And I mean, in these days of heightened security and everything, what ideas are people getting that they can get that close to players and everything? You know, it's just not on.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are some people that turn around and saying, no, stop it, you're being hysterical. But if these people who are having a laugh, or think they're having a laugh, can get on the pitch. You know, we saw a couple of years ago in the football, in an Aston Villa game, a Birmingham fan got on the pitch and managed to give Jack Grealish a slap round the back of the head and had to be escorted out. You know, that was just a minor attack on a player. But it only takes one person who wants to do something pretty serious to get onto a pitch. And we're talking about something very, very different.
Absolutely.
And that's not being over the top about it. People who have dodgy intentions will see the fact that these jokers can get on the pitch. I know, there's streakers happen all the time. It's bloody annoying. Everyone has a little laugh when they're a bit tanked up, and it happens. I hate it because I'm a killjoy, but
you don't remember Erica Rowe, do you? So I mean, there's a few of us who are old enough to remember Erica Rowe, but I mean that's a different generation entirely. But
if someone can get onto a pitch and get that close to players and get that close to what's going on, it only takes someone who really wants to do something stupid, and the conversation changes, and we just don't want to see it.
No, I mean there's a responsibility from the people who run the security and the stadiums and the various unions and whatever to actually sort themselves out as well. People shouldn't be going there with that intention, but if it's easy to do so, then they need to look at that as well. But it's not good. But we'll go off of the rant, and you mentioned the England ladies, England women's rugby. Phenomenal performances, 2 great performances against New Zealand. Absolutely superb. Nice to see Poppy captaining the country on the weekend as well, and putting in a fine performance, and lots of great performances, not only from Saracens women, but women from all over the country in the different teams.
Yeah, I mean, obviously England and New Zealand are, at the moment, by far and away the two bigger nations in women's rugby, I guess. And I think it's just showing. New Zealand won the World Cup last time round against us, which was obviously heartbreaking from our side. But I think it was sort of seeing the benefit of Premier 15s rugby and the professional contracts that they have, that it's really, really stepping up. Obviously big thing for us as well. There's a battle for the 10 shirt, I guess, with Katie Daly-McLean stepping away. And I think Zoe Harrison has done absolutely everything she possibly can to make that hers with two brilliant performances, not just from the tee, but in open play as well. It looks good from a Saracens women side and from England as well. And the other one we should probably mention, Wales women played this weekend against Japan, and three players in that had Donna Rose and Georgia Evans, and Kat Evans as well, who made a Wales debut. I'm not going to say how old she is, but probably at a time when she didn't think that was going to happen, actually. So.
And Wales as well announcing that they're going to offer paid contracts as well, which
absolutely
is only going to improve the game over there. So yeah. So well, so as I say, it's probably best time to finish this Fezcast. Just to say that the next Fezcast we should have been talking with Kevin Sinfield. Unfortunately, Kevin can't now make it. He's doing a 101-mile run from Leicester to Leeds on the Monday after the Sunday when we were going to be recording it. So we totally understand why you can't do that, but we're going to try and rearrange nearer to when Saracens play Tigers at Stonex. That'll be the next show, which will be going out live. I think it's on the 23rd of November, isn't it? Yeah, it'll be the 23rd of November. And Matt's going to be doing that with a special co-host because the weekend we would normally be recording everything. I'm away with my wife for our wedding anniversary in Chester. So as much as I would love to speak to Matt, I've got to, I think I treat my lady properly.
Yeah, I mean, if Kevin Sinfield is ducking away with a good excuse, I think you've got one as well. So we'll have a spare co-host in, and maybe we'll give Steve Cummins a break this time. But he's probably gone to his head too much his media career. So yeah, look out for a bit of a change on the next show, and check out social medias over the next few days. Hopefully as well, you might see some interesting new stuff from us and around the Saracens family as well. You never know.
Excellent. Well, yeah, looking forward to that. And just say thank you very much, Matt. And I'll speak to you again in a month's time.
Yeah.
And best of luck with the next one. And obviously I'll speak to everybody in a month's time. And over to you, Matt, and your another next time out.
Yeah, it'll be weird being in the other chair. I'll be on the other side of the screen. I won't know where to look.
Oh, there you go. You'll do fine, Matt. All right. Anyway, thanks, everybody. All the best. And ta-ra.
Cheers all.
It's the Fezcast with Matt Barlett and Jez Denson in association with the Saracens Supporters Association.